Well, you guys, Long Haul Larry, and I am up here at the Uber house. I got my truck all fixed, got the oil pan in, and ran her up here. Had a little bit of an issue. The alternator was not working. I took off, got like 5 miles, and the alternator light came on. The lights were a little bit dim. I noticed it, and then the light came on, and I was like, okay, I'm quick spin around. So I went, spun around, looked around. Advanced had one for sale, $200 for that alternator. And I jumped in my mom's car and ran there and picked it up, exchanged alternators, brought it back out. A couple minutes later, I was back on the road. It did work. The lights were brighter than I noticed that. So definitely the alternator was getting on its last light. And the light didn't come on at all, and I took off. And I got about an hour or so away, and all of a sudden the alternator light came back on. I was like, are you kidding me? But then it would go off. And I'm like, what the heck? And I was driving on the road, and all of a sudden the alternator light would come on, and it would go off. I was like, I don't know. The lights aren't getting dim or nothing. I'm going. So I drove all the way up here, and actually when I hit the Michigan line, it didn't come on at all. Until really I came down my road here where I'm going to this meeting tonight and about this property. I came down that road, and it's a really bumpy road. I came down the road, and when I was coming down, I was hitting all those bumps. The light came on a few times. So what it is the ground wire. So when I jacked up the cab and all that stuff, I think a ground wire got kind of messed up or something. So I got to get through there. It's working fine. There's no problem with it, but it just a light pops on once in a while and you hit bumps. So it's just got to be a ground wire. So I got to figure out what ground wire pulled. But I have driven back up to the UP, and I'm up here for this meeting. I wasn't going to be here. In the letter that I gave out to all the neighbors and stuff, I told them that I had a medical emergency. I have to go back to Wisconsin. I'm not going to be at the meeting. But I've actually gotten phone calls and talking to different people, and I think it's important that I'm here. And plus, Tracy has not gotten any doctor appointments yet. She's just sitting there in pain, and the doctors are not dealing with her. And her daughter has COVID. So I'm kind of staying away. So, until she gets these doctor appointments and needs to be ran to these doctor appointments, she's just laying around. She's taken care of and stuff, but she's not doing anything. But until she gets these doctor appointments and maybe she needs to be ran to and everything, I'm going to kind of stay away so this COVID thing kind of clears out of there too. But so I'm up here for this meeting, and I'm going to go into this meeting, but I will tell you what happened. I got a phone call from the supervisor of this township. And I'm going to tell you that she called me up, and she got this here flyer that I put out, and I put my phone number on this flyer for people to contact me about this. And she contacted me. And I'm going to tell you, she was not very pleasant at first. Her first words was, I don't really know what problem you have with me. And she kind of went off, and she was angry with me, I can tell you that. That's fine. You know, we have the right to oversee what they're doing. And I let her speak her piece, and when she got all done, kind of getting up, being upset and venting at me, I said, would you like me to explain why I did this? Why I put this flyer out to the neighbors and talked to all the neighbors about it? She said, if you want to. I said, no problem. I said, listen, I came to a meeting. I learned about this happening right in my backyard. I haven't heard anything about it. And I started asking questions, trying to figure out what was going on. And I'm not in favor of this whatsoever. And when I kept asking questions, your clerk said, you know what? We all have jobs to do. We don't have time for this and stuff. Maybe you just need to have your own special meeting and stuff, but we're done talking about this. And you shut me down and wouldn't answer my questions. I was like, okay, that was rude. And it's kind of a big deal. And then this Melissa woman that was trying to push us all through, she gave me the information, and I went and watched the video. And I said, and she was telling me she never offered property to Melissa for this and stuff. She's never offered the property, blah, 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 and all that. And I'm like, have you watched the video? And she went, no. I said, then maybe what you need to do is actually go sit down and watch this video. I said, because in that video, she says she's been turned down up and down the Keweenaw Peninsula for this. And then the supervisor of our township contacted her and offered her 40 acres. And then she puts up a map of the area, pinpointing the location, and it says offered by Franklin Township. Well, that was never the case whatsoever. That's what she says. And I says, she's talking like this is all a go and everything. And I says, and the other thing is, she's filed for grants. I says, how is she filing for grants? You're telling me now that this is not going forward. This hasn't been approved and all this other stuff. But you're telling me that she's filing for grants to start this project? Isn't that kind of illegal? I mean, she's filing for grants for this and she doesn't have permission to do it. I mean, that's like taking the money from the government for, that's misleading. And she said, and then she started talking to me a little bit, and she said, maybe I need to go watch this video. And she says, it sounds like maybe Melissa needs to be reined back on what she's talking about. Like she's saying some things she shouldn't be. And I said, I'm telling you, watch the video. And I said, because your name comes up in a lot, that you're her big supporter for this. And she said, and I was like, okay. And then we started talking a little bit and, about different stuff. And I said, listen, it isn't anything against you. I don't really care. All I care is that people in power that have been voted in to take care of the day-to-day little tasks and stuff like that, they maybe actually have to actually consider that, if it's township land, that means everybody that's a resident that pays taxes in this township actually owns that property. And that's kind of a big thing what you're talking about, and it needs to be discussed and it needs to be voted on. And she said, you know what? She says, it sounds like you really care about what happens on this property. I says, yes. And she goes, we have a couple other properties too we've always thought about doing things with. And she said, what I would think we should do is I think we should put together a committee and have a special committee that will be in charge of these properties. And when people come with proposals of something to do on this property or whatever, they'll come to that committee. That committee can discuss it. They can put it out there and do polls or whatever. And then that can be brought to the town meeting with the final decision and brought in there. It's posted on the thing and we vote on it and decide. And she goes, I think you should be on this committee. I said, no problem. We can do that. I says, I'm fine with that. If that keeps an RV park out of my backyard, I'll take care of it. So I am up here and I am actually making a little bit of dinner, and I'm going to be going to the town meeting here and having a discussion. I think there's going to be some neighbors that are going to be all showing up, wanting answers for what I put out there, and we're going to see what all happens. Hopefully there isn't too much yelling. Doesn't need to be any yelling and stuff. I'm just going to tell you, we do not need an alternative energy park in my backyard. I do not need an RV. Do not need yurts built back there. This is a quiet community, and this is the way it needs to stay. So I'll let you guys know what happens at the meeting and stuff. I'm not going to be recording that because I don't record people without their knowledge and stuff. And I can tell you right now, the people at the town meeting are not going to be, put me on YouTube. So I just don't do that. So what we're going to do is I'll probably just let you guys know what's happened. Okay, let's catch you guys after the meeting. See you. Well, guys, we had our meeting, and we had our township meeting, and I gotta say I was a little disappointed in the turnout, for one thing. Went out and talked to neighbors around here, and I passed out around 45 of these things and notifying people. And I got to tell you, out of those 45 people, I would say 43 of them didn't hear anything about any of this, and they were not happy about it. One person actually knew about the whole thing pretty much. And the thing is that he works with this Melissa Davis, I guess. She hires him once in a while, and he's right up the road, and he's kind of got like a homestead type thing, and he installs like solar panels and stuff, I guess. He's into solar panels. And I think that he kind of knew some stuff about it. Didn't really say anything back and forth, whether it's for or against, but I would kind of guess he was, for it. And then a couple of people, they knew that they heard something about something. They said they heard that they said, I thought it was supposed to be like a community garden they were talking about. So well, they're talking about a bunch of different stuff. So we went to the meeting, and I think there was probably about 7 houses represented. Some of them were couples, some people just one person came, but there was about 7 houses that people that came. There was probably 12 to 14 people that came. I was expecting a lot more, and even the people there, they came early. They were saying that because they figured the place was going to be packed, and so they could get parking, and it wasn't really that much. I was kind of disappointed in that, but it is the way that things go. It seems like people just don't care about things, and then when something happens and they don't like it, then they get upset and they complain about it. Well, what I was trying to do with all this is get the information out there now and stop this before it even starts, so that this was taken care of and be stopped and everything. And so I really wanted to pack the place up, really to make a thing about it. But I could tell you that it still got the point across, and it was the most people they've ever had at a meeting, I guess. But I was still a little disappointed though. I could have been because I'm new to the area, so a lot of people don't know me, and a new guys coming up in here, what are you talking about? And they're like, And a lot of people said, I know somebody on the town board or something. Or I know, the supervisor. I'm going to email them. I'm going to text them and stuff. And I think that people did email and text people on the board and stuff going, what's going on? I don't even think a lot of people even looked at the video that this woman put out. And I think that, and then what happened is the supervisor was just going, nope, because she was getting bombarded with emails and phone calls. I think she was just going, we're not doing this. And then it's all played down, and so people did. So we're like, oh, it must be the new guy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. They are doing this. And I can tell you it has changed a little bit, but it's still something that needs to be stopped. So what happened at the meeting is we went there, and the supervisor brought it up right away at the beginning. Said, I see that there's a lot of new faces here, and I think we should just get right on this and talk about this. And she brought it up and everything, and then basically said, we get proposals all the time like this kind of stuff and everything, and what you guys don't understand is that it's a long process. I mean, this could be a year or a year and a half or so. And it's a proposal that's put together, and we talk about it and redo it and come up with better plans and revisit it, and then it would be put up for a vote and all this stuff. And I can tell you right now that when I went to the first meeting, what was going on was this Melissa Davis was there giving an update on the grants she has filed with the federal government to start this project. Now, to me, how is she filing grants for a project that hasn't even been voted on yet? And I can tell you that there's been a big backstep by these people. I think they found out that they were getting under close eye here and stuff, and so they actually kind of stepped way back on this. But then they kept going on, and I talked about it, and I got up and I gave a little speech about it and everything else, and said, listen, I have actually spoken to the neighbors all around there and stuff. I've went around and spoken to everybody, and there is nobody besides like 2 people out of everyone I talked to. Nobody wants anything done. They don't want stuff. They don't want this changed. And I said there was one guy that was kind of like, I think he's part of this. I think he does something with solar, and so I think he's kind of knew some stuff going on. And the other one was a 12 or 14-year-old girl that thought it'd be cool if an RV park came across the road. I says, but otherwise than that, nobody wants this. And I says, and all this. And then one guy on the board, he kind of tried to belittle me, I think. And he actually started making jokes and basically that I don't know how things work, and he was like laughing and stuff and everything else. And I don't put up with that kind of stuff. And so I got right up in him, and I'm like, listen here, buddy. I says, did you watch the video? And the guy next to him, I think, thought I was talking to him, and he said, and the guy next to him goes, I watched bits and pieces of it. And I said, no, the guy that's up there that's laughing at us, that thinks this is funny, that we're all concerned what's happening with our township. And the guy looked at me and was shocked that I said that. And he goes, no, I didn't watch the video. And I says, well, then really, to tell you the truth, you have no idea what we're even talking about. You don't know what she's out there saying and what's being said out there. So you don't really have the right to even sit here and say anything about it. So why don't you just like be quiet and listen to what's happening? And he just kind of looked at me, and one of the neighbors that was sitting next to me, she leaned over by me and she goes, bravo. She said it like she was whispering to me, but she said it and people heard it. And she goes, bravo. She goes, that guy's so arrogant. And I just kind of chuckled and stuff. He heard people say that, and a couple other people kind of chuckled about it too. But it kind of went on and stuff, and then it was being played off. And basically, what the supervisor was saying was, well, Melissa, she kind of got ahead of the horse and stuff, and, in some of these things and blah, 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 and all this. And, it is what it is, but there's a long process. And the thing is that this land, we have different pieces of land, and it would be nice to actually use the land for something instead of just letting it sit there doing nothing and kind of looking like junk, like the fence that people have ran all over and it's like hanging down and stuff, and nobody uses it, just sits out there doing nothing. It would be nice to use it. We've talked about, doing like community gardens and stuff. Maybe over on the trail side, we could do like campsites and stuff. And they kept going on, and everybody was like, the people out there were like, why? Why do you want to do this? And they, well, it should be done. We got this land, it's sitting here doing nothing. And it was just messed up. And they still want to do something with this. And people that came there disagreement with all this were asking them, why do you want to do something? What's wrong with it the way it is? And then some people, and then this one lady, she got up and she's like, I live right next door there, and almost every night I take a walk, and it's a really nice little area right over next to the pond. They got this all set up and everything. And she goes, I go and walk through there every night, and she goes, I'm constantly picking up garbage. And she goes, there's always, you can see these things where people come out, probably kids and stuff, and they come out there and they light up big bonfires and they have parties out there, and then all their garbage is up. She goes, I go out there every day almost and pick up garbage. And she goes, you guys are talking about some campsites or something making in there. Okay, who's going to clean up after all this? Because right now it's a mess. And then this one guy said, well, I took a drive out there, and he goes, he was on the board, and he goes, I haven't been out there in years. And he goes, I took a drive out there and looked at it. And he goes, yeah, I think there was like a refrigerator back there on the first gate. And back there, somebody's dumped in there and stuff. And there was some little bit of garbage, and it looks like the driveway was kind of all rutted up and stuff. And I said, well, I've already taken care of that. And the supervisor looked at me and said, what do you mean you took care of it? I said at the last meeting there, there was some kid out there, somebody out there that's doing donuts in the driveway and tearing it up, and maybe put up a sign out there or something, knock it off, stupid, And I said, I was actually working my backyard, and I actually heard a four-wheeler ripping around, so I jumped on my side-by-side, and I ran down there, and I caught the kid doing it. And, he was digging a ditch, probably a foot and a half deep. He would come over this jump, come onto the driveway, and then spinning around like that, and he kept digging it. It was just a big trench dug right in the middle of the driveway. And I caught the kid doing it, and he was 13, 14 years old. And I came up to him and I said, hey, buddy. I said, man, I was you. I says, you want to come back here and play and stuff? go for it. I said, jump, because there was a jump there. It's actually a jump that I kind of found, and I started doing it, and then now this kid has found my tracks going across it, and he's made it like his track. But I've video going across there. But I said, have fun. I said, jump. I said, go play in the mud, rip around, do it all you want to. I said, but stop doing the donuts in the middle of the driveway, kid. I says, I was just at a town hall meeting. I said, there was talk about this. And I says, you keep doing this. And I said, then what has to be done is somebody in the township's going to have to come out here, and they're going to have to come out here with some kind of grader or something and smooth the driveway back out. And I says, then it's going to be, okay, now who's paying for this and everything? And I said, eventually what will happen is they'll put up a sign saying no ATVs. And I said, so just stop doing that. I said, play around, jump in the mud. We use this, everybody comes back here, it's fine. But just don't tear up the driveway. And the kid was like, yeah, I get that. And he was fine with it. And he's like, yeah, I can see how that's been stupid. He goes, I'll stop doing that. And I was like, yeah, no problem, man. I said, have fun, but just don't wreck the place, And he said something about that, and I told him, I said, well, I already took care of it. And I told him, I said, I got a tractor, and it's been kind of smoothed over a little bit. I think the kid went out there with a rake and something, and he tried to, but it was quite tore up. So I told him, I said, I have a tractor with a bucket on it. I'll just run right around the corner, go down there and smooth it out. So that's taken care of. And he's like, well, I found a couple little pieces. I didn't really see a lot of garbage back there and stuff. And then, they were not even understanding what people are talking about. And I stopped them, and I looked at the people that were talking about it. And I said, correct me if I'm wrong. And I says, but you're talking over by the pond, how there's garbage and piles and burn piles. You see people having parties. And then the people, I think it was the supervisor on the board, she goes, well, that's not even our property along the pond where that happens. She goes, we're not liable to clean that up. And I looked at the lady that was talking about it, and she was shaking her head too. And I said, you're not getting the point. There's already this happening right there. Your property is right next to it. And so now you're talking about building campgrounds. So now if you build campsites and everything, and people are out there and they have all these bonfires and parties and all this stuff out there, then we got all this garbage coming in. And we got all these people in our backyard partying and stuff. We don't want that. And it was just kind of played off and stuff. Well, what ended up happening in the end, I think I'm getting real long with this, is basically they decided that we would have a special committee, and the committee would be in charge of the property owned by Franklin Township. And I was put on that committee. The neighbors, they all said he should be in it. So I've been put on that, and I think that we actually have our first meeting on Monday. And what we're going to do is I'm going to go into this meeting, and a couple of people that were there disagreeing with the stuff they signed up to be part of this, to be, involved in this too. And I think what we're going to do is I'm going to go in there and I'm going to say, okay, here's what we need to do. Because we talked a little bit about it, and I kept telling them, they made a comment a couple times that this woman was just getting input from the residents. And I just shut that down right away. And I'm like, she's not getting input from the residents. There was no input ever asked about it from this residents. And because I went and talked to everybody and nobody heard anything about this. And I said, so I don't know where you're getting this input from, but no, she's not talking to anybody, so how am I getting? And she was there too. And then the supervisor said, well, we put out a flyer about a year ago talking about it, and that we were talking about maybe utilizing this property for some community gardens. And we put it out there for everybody. Whether or not people read this stuff and everything is, what. And then somebody said, what are you talking about? I never got anything saying this. And then the lady said, well, we put it on our website. And then the people in there were like, there's a website? And then a couple people that were there going, we don't even have internet out here. We can't even get any kind of internet. So how are we supposed to get to this website? So I talked to somebody that's on the board, they're kind of a part of it, I think. They don't really sit up there, but they're part of it. And she's all against us too. And we talked in a meeting, and basically then it was come to what we need to do is maybe take a poll. Do we want to develop this land or not? And that's a great idea. And it's Melissa Davis was sitting over here, and she's like, I agree, that's a great idea. We should find out what the community wants. And I just wanted to I just wanted to just shake her and just, I know what the community wants because I've talked to them. You haven't, you know? And she's just so frustrating. But it's like, whatever, let's do it. And they kept going on, and the supervisor saying that the land is not being utilized for anything now and all this stuff. And it's like, yes, it is. It is being utilized. There's people that bird hunt back there. There's people that deer hunt back there. There's people that stick their guns in back there. There's people that ride ATVs. There's people that ride snowmobiles. My neighbors across the road, they go snowshoeing back there. They go cross-country skiing back there. It is being utilized by the community. Now, they have this idea about these raised gardens and stuff, about putting a community garden in. And I can see that, you know, everybody has their different things they want to do. And if they want to have some gardens and stuff like that, I could see doing that. There's a spot down right by the river, because they're going to need water. So, you know, put it right down there. So, you got access to water your stuff. And they could put some small, some garden stuff down there where they can grow some stuff in the community, whatever. If that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. But my big thing against it is beautiful up here. And there's a reason why there's 500,000 visitors that come to this area every summer. It's for the beauty, the landscape, the quietness up here. And my furnace is going to kick on. But that's why they come up here. And if we turn around and change things and take away the natural beauty of it and change it and make us looking something industrial or something, people are not going to want to see it. And then they're talking about a veterans park too. And I don't understand that, because right on the other side of the pond, which is a half mile away, there's a veterans park, and it looks horrible. Nobody takes care of it. It's all grown up and stuff. But there is a veterans park. I don't know why they want to do a veterans park back here, because we're off the main drag, so nobody's going to even see it unless you live here. It's just weird stuff. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to go in this meeting on Monday, and I'm going to I came up with this idea that let's do a poll. Let's send it out to all the residents. And my idea was, the taxes are coming due. Our winter taxes are going to be cut. They said something in a meeting that they're going to be sent out on the 15th. Well, let's print up a poll saying, hey, the property on Boston Road, there's been discussions about it being developed into campsites, blah, 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 community gardens, whatever, this type of stuff. Or do we want it to be not developed? Take the fence down, that looks like junk. Let's take the fence down, put up a sign that says Franklin Community Area, and let people utilize it for what we want. And if maybe a community garden wants, if people want to get together and build a community garden, go ahead. But nothing built in there that's not already there. The garden thing and stuff, they're talking raised beds. Yeah, that's fine. But putting up campsites and all this stuff, no, nobody wants this. And so kind of put it out and then put it in with the tax bill. And the lady looked at me, she goes, that's smart. And I says, that way we save all the postal, services for mailing these flyers out to everyone, because everyone is going to open their tax bill, so they're going to see this. And then have people send this back in and see what the result is. And I'm going to tell you, it's going to be an overwhelming no. People are not going to want this. And so that's where it's at right now. So yeah, now I'm on the township board on this and stuff. I guess I'm part of this now. I was joking around about it, and I told Tracy, I says, oh boy, I said, this is my first step into politics. I says, next I'll be taking a supervisor's job, and then I'll be becoming the mayor or something like that. In years to come, I says, who knows, I'll be the governor, and maybe I'll be the next president or something like that. And I was actually talking to John about it too, and he thought it was funny. and he goes, well, go for it. And I says, I don't think the world's ready for me. And he goes, well, you just kind of have to keep your opinions to yourself or something. You can't say everything. I said, well, that's not going to happen. And I said, just look at what happened to Trump. I says, everybody went after him because he thought that was really funny. And I says, he tried to tweet about everything and got himself all in trouble. I said, I'd be on YouTube getting myself in trouble. So, yeah, it's just big funny. But we're still fighting the fight, but a lot of it has gotten taken out. But we want it to be left beautiful, the way it is. They talk about all this crazy stuff and everything, and I don't understand why. There's no reason for it all. I can tell you that this other lady, this Melissa Davis with this New Power Tour, I found out some other things. I don't dislike her, but I don't like her. I would never sit here and have a conversation with her. And I don't dislike people and stuff like that, but there's just people I just wouldn't, I just would never really sit down and have a conversation with. She's one of them. I mean, at the first meeting, I was, talking to her and trying to ask questions and everything else, and I was like, I'm against all this. I don't want any of this to come in there. And she looked at me and she goes, what, you're one of those people that doesn't support progress? And I was just like, are you serious? I mean, it was like so rude. And then if you watch her video, what does she say at the end of it? One of the women asked her, said, well, have you talked to the residents of that area and asked if they want this to be there? What was her answer? Well, cannabis is legal, so and it's like, really? So basically, what is she saying? That we're all a bunch of potheads up here and we don't care about anything? She's just kind of messed up. And I actually know a couple people in Hancock, a couple business people, and I was in there yesterday doing a couple things, and I kind of was just talking, and we were talking about different stuff, and how much is it going to snow this winter and everything. And then I was getting a flag and some stuff at this one hardware store, and that I go to, and the guy's pretty cool, and I was getting that stuff, and I was explaining what I was doing. I was fixing the flagpole at the place, and I was explaining kind of what happened in the meetings and what was going on. I asked him if he was part of this township, and he said, no, we have our separate, we're Hancock Township. And he kind of sat there listening to it, and he goes, what's the woman's name that's trying to push us through? And I said, Melissa Davis. He goes, oh, we know her. And he goes, yeah, she's a little cuckoo. And he goes, she has been in our town meetings and everything else, and she has been talking to Hancock and Holden and everything, and she's bringing in this stuff where they're going to make special power, and it's going to make millions for the community and everything else. And she goes, and they wasted our time for like a year and a half. And he goes, and then basically we found out that none of it was even true. She's just off the wall, and it's just like, what a waste of our time it was. And he goes, and she comes in here all the time talking about projects that she wants to do and wants me to give her stuff for free. And then she'll include my name on it and stuff. And it's like, I'm not giving you stuff for free. It's just, he's like, yeah, she's a handful. And I said, well, she's the one doing it. So that just kind of fortifies that. Yeah, I mean, people know about her and they're like, yeah, she doesn't have a very good reputation. But the one thing I was there was for the flagpole. And I've been at 2 meetings now. This has been 2 months I've been in meetings. Every month they have a meeting. And the second meeting I've been to, and for 2 months now, they've been talking about the flagpole out there. And they have a gentleman that works, like, has a job for, like, the housing department or something up here or something. And he also works, like, part-time for the township at evenings and weekends. And he goes around and he takes care of, like, the sewer pumps and just whatever, little things and stuff. And he makes a few bucks, you know, for this. And he's kind of an older gentleman. He's looking to retire. And he's the one that gives updates and all stuff. And he's been talking about this flagpole, and I'm just like, the last one, I was like, whatever, they'll figure it out. And I even offered, when at the end of the meeting, I offered my service. I said, do it. I said, if you need some help fixing this flagpole, I says, I'm pretty handy. I can help you. And he's all like, no, we got her, and they got to have these meetings and they got to talk about it. And, what are we going to do? Is there somebody we can call and all this stuff? And everything has to be approved and all that stuff. Well, then I came to this meeting and they started talking about it again. And I'm like, are you crazy? Then they were talking about calling some contractor, mechanical contractor that has a welder and torch and stuff on a truck, and he can come out there and he can fix it. And just go ahead and tell him to come out there and take care of it. And all it was there was a nut on there that he was afraid was too rusted and it might break or something. And I listened to all this and I was just like, are you kidding me? This guy's going to charge you what, $200, $300 for a service call to come out there and take a nut off? And so I went out there and I kind of glanced at it and I walked back in and I walked up to him and I said, are you talking to flagpole right out here? And he's like, yeah. He goes, Veterans Day coming up, we have no flag. And I said, dude, don't call anybody. I says, I got everything and I need to fix this. I says, I'll come down here tomorrow and I'll fix it for you. I said, that's nothing. I'll take care of it. And he came out and he's all trying to explain it to me and stuff. And I'm like, that's fine. And then he's like, and for the last 2 months, they talked about they need to find a place to order a flag. And the flag must be made in the United States. It has to be made in the USA. You don't want some China flag flying up with the American flag or something. And it's made in China. And they were going on and on about this. And it's just like, it's so much talk, but no action. And that's the way that things are, in government. And so I went down there and I looked at it, found out what he was talking about, sprayed it with some PB blaster. It was fine. And I took my little impact thing, I ran it in, ran it out, just kind of backed and forth a few times, and then zoop, pulled the nut right off. Got the broken little pulley clevis that was on there. I went down to the hardware store, bought that, and he was saying, yeah, I got the rope, it's in the shed over here, but that was on there. He goes, but it's pretty damaged and it looks like it's frayed and stuff. Well, maybe you might want to, talk to the board about buying some new rope and stuff. And I was just like, are you serious? And so I was down there and I bought this new pulley, and I asked the guy down there and I said, do you have any flags? And he's like, yeah. And I said, remember they had one in a 3x5. And so I looked on it and said, I need a 3x5. And he grabbed one and handed it to me. Looked on it, entirely made in the USA, it says on it. And it was a nylon sewn flag. And I'm like, perfect, dude. And I looked at it, it was $24. A little pricey, but it's fine. It's not crazy up here, Prices are a little bit higher and stuff. But, you probably could get it other places for $15, $12, whatever. But I was like, okay. And I says, I need some rope too. And went back there and bought 100 foot of nylon rope. And I think that was like $9 or something. And then I bought some clevises that he can hook up to the rope that we can attach to the flag, so you can take the flag on and off. And I bought all this stuff, and it was like $50 some or something like this. It came up to be. And I went up there, and it maybe took me 15, 20 minutes. And I'll put a little video and show you guys what I'm doing. Well, guys, this is one of the things I talked about. So I came to a meeting. I've been to 2 meetings. This has been 2 months going on. And they talk about this flagpole out here. You can't do it. Can't get it fixed. Can't get a flag on it. Well, I finally got a little tired of it. And they were talking last night, they're going to bring in an outside contractor to do this. And because the guy was afraid that the nut was going to break, I'm like, just heat it up or put some PB blaster on it. And because I guess the little reel, the little pulley thing that's up here to hold the rope was broken. And I came out and I looked at it last night when we were leaving, and I walked back in. I said, you know what, guys? I'll take care of it. 2 months of talking about it. I just came out here. I pulled the nut off. It took me a couple seconds. Got the broken part off of it. It was this thing right here that was broken. And I just ran down to the hardware store and picked up a new pulley. Sorry if it's real windy and noise and stuff. And the one thing about it is they were having all these big discussions about a flag and all this stuff. They want a 3x5 flag. And they were all being concerned about it has to be made in the United States. So they're going to have to figure out where to order one from and everything else. I was at the hardware store. Right here it is. 3x5. Made in the United States. There it is. The guy was all explaining to me, the guy that's messing around working on stuff, and he was like, yeah, the rope is terrible. I'll have to get authorization to buy some new rope and stuff, because it's probably so deteriorated that I'm going to end up having to, it'll probably break. Well, I went down to the hardware store, picked up this little deal. Boom. There it is. Put the nut and the washer back on there. There you go. So now, I mean, some things getting done is just, it's so much talk and so much who and how and authorization. The flagpole needs to be fixed. Veterans Day is coming up. Get the flag up. So that's what I'm doing. I don't really care if they even pay me back for it or not. I don't really even care about it, but I'm just gonna fix it. Well, there we go, guys. Flag is up, all done. Don't have to have any more months of discussion about it with the town court. It's kind of crazy getting stuff done, but there we go. She's all done and hung up. Now I got her flag. And so there it is. I mean, it was just such a simple thing. Boom, it's done. And then he actually, the older gentleman that works on stuff, he actually came by there just as I was raising a flag. He came up. He's like, wow, this looks awesome. And he's looking, he goes, I didn't know you were going to put a flag and everything up. I was just expecting you to fix that. And he goes, you know, they were going to order one. I said, it's made in the USA. I showed him the thing on it. So you're my witness. It's made in the USA. I said, dude, why sit here and have another meeting in another month about what now the flag is? So I said, I just took care of it. It's done. And he's like, well, just turn your receipt in and stuff. And he says, and they'll reimburse you. And he says, they'll pay for your time too and stuff. And I'm like, dude, it wasn't that big a deal. It's done. I said, really, whatever. I said, if they have an issue with the money and stuff, I says, it'll just be a donation for me. I said, I'm not worried about it. It's $50. It's done with. And so I actually sent a message to the supervisor of the township last night when I got home. And I told her, I said, listen, I stopped by there. I took care of the flag. I decided I fixed the broken part that Jim has been talking about. That took me 5 minutes to fix. And I had to go down and get a new pulley. And I was at the hardware store. They had a flag that was made in the USA. I just bought it. Bought new rope. Bought a clevises. I said, I already hung it. The flag is up. It's flying. And I said, so I know there was some guy talking about he was going to order a flag off some site or something to make sure it's made in the USA. I said, so you might want to contact that guy. I remember talking about it and just let him know he doesn't need to get a flag. It's already taken care of. I mean, it was such a simple thing. And she responded back to me, oh my goodness, thanks. That was fast or something, she said to me. No, I just don't need to have meetings about it, taking a nut off and fixing a flag. That's the kind of stuff. It's just kind of crazy. So yeah, so now I'm part of this board and everything. And I'm basically going to try to get this all set up and everything, and I'm gonna fight it to the end of the time. They're down from an RV park. That is gone. Okay, everybody called and screamed at her about an RV park. That's gone. The electric park thing, that's gone. Okay, that is done with. That is never gonna fly. Those two things I know are gone. But now they're talking about a veterans park and making a campsite. And then putting community gardens in there with raised beds. The Veterans Park and stuff, I don't really see the purpose in it. I think it's a waste of time and money. And it's nothing to do with veterans. I mean, it's fully support people who serve. But the thing is there's a Veterans Park not even half a mile. It's across the pond. It's on the other side, right on 41. And it's all tall grass and stuff. And the sign up says veteran. And nobody takes care of it. This over here is back in the woods. Why have the park there? Nobody's going to come back there. It's just the people that live right here. And so then it's something else to take care of. It's going to cost money. I don't see the purpose in that. The campsite thing, I'm telling you right now, it's not going to happen. That's just going to stop. Because I can tell you right now, I know the people who own the land right around there, and they're going to be furious if they put campsites in there and stuff, and people are stopping there in their backyard overnight. We'll get it stopped. But yeah, now I'm actually kind of part of the township here and stuff, and now they put me on this committee so that I can make decisions of what happens with the land. I guess there's a bunch of other land they own, and I think that we're just going to have a talk about it and stuff. My idea is, And they complain that they have meetings and nobody ever shows up to the meeting. But then they schedule this and they have it for Monday, and then they said it's going to be the third Monday of every month. And I'm like, that's why you don't have anybody participating. I mean, why do you need to have a meeting every month? That just doesn't make any sense. What do you need to have a meeting on with this land? Let's make a decision on this piece of property. This is a pending thing. They have other pieces of property too. But you can kind of put it forward. And then they say they get proposals about different stuff all the time. Okay, that's fine. Why don't you have a meeting every 3 months? You know, it's not something that needs to be every month. And have a meeting every 3 months, then people will actually show up, because they're not, you know, it just gets boring and stuff every time, you know, with the little mundane stuff that they do. And do it every 3 months. And if there's somebody that comes along with a proposal of doing something on some property, of buying a property, doing something with it, I want it written in there saying, okay, if somebody comes to us and wants to buy some property to build something or do something on it, what they need to do is put together a proposal, bring it to this committee. We look at it, we check it out, make sure it's financially sound and everything else, that it's not going to be, you know, it's that there is a plan in place for doing it. And if it's feasible, then what we'll require is the person bringing the proposal needs to write up a proposal on a piece of paper, and it needs to be mailed to all the residents. And then I wanted something put into the laws, that something into the bylaws, I think, that the person proposing it has to pay for the postage. Because why should the township have to pay to mail this out to all the people, to notify people? Because, you know, that's going to be our tax dollars just mailing all this stuff. So if somebody wants to do something like this, well, they got to put together the effort, and they're going to have to mail it out and send it all into people. And then it'll be put to the actual township meeting that's on the first or the second Monday every month. It'll be put to them, and we'll put a date on it. We're going to be at this township meeting to discuss this. And then have people all come in there, and the residents, if they have an issue with something, they can come in there, talk about it, everything else. If something needs to be revised or whatever, they can do this, and then we can vote on it. You know, it just, they need to bring in the community. This is land that's owned by the township people. If you live up here and you're a resident and you pay your taxes, you own that land. You own that. And so you have the right to know what's happening with it, and they need to let people know about it. And they're not doing a very good job right now. My point of it is to get people involved. So everything's working out pretty good. And I'm not really sure on what I'm doing, if I'm going to stay up here or if I'm going to head back down to Tracy. I really haven't made that decision. She still is having problems getting into the doctor. The doctor said that they were going to be working on getting the MRI scan on a disc, having it overnighted from up here down there. And they called her up and saying, well, did you get the disc yet? And she's like, you told me you were getting it. I asked if I should call, and you guys said, no, we'll take care of it. And she goes, she's just going on and on. It's a whole horrible situation. But she is feeling a little bit better. She's giving some movement back and everything, but she's kind of a lot of drugs and stuff for the pain and everything, which she doesn't like to do. So I'm not really sure if she's going to be getting doctor appointments this week or yet not. And I had that meeting on Monday, so I may stay up here and just do some projects around here. So I don't know. We'll see what's going on. But there you go. That's what all happened with everything. And so I'm going to let you guys go. And we're just fighting a good fight. So I hope everybody out there is having themselves a great day, great night as they watch this here video. And if you're not, certainly try that all over again tomorrow. I actually am working. I actually am kind of working with ADL right now too. I think I'll do a video about that and show you guys what I'm doing. The boss is actually on vacation. And so what he did is he actually he signed me up for all of his websites where he can contact the drivers, he can monitor the drivers, what they're doing, issue comp checks, and all this different stuff for lumpers or if a tire issue or whatever breakdown, they're going to call me. So all the drivers have my phone number now, and they're we're communicating back and forth. And if anything, if they have an issue or something, then they contact me, and that way the boss can enjoy his vacation. since I'm sitting here doing nothing. So he asked me if I'd do it. I said, yeah, no problem. I've had a trucking company before. I know how it all runs. So I'm helping him out and just keeping an eye on things when he's gone and stuff and make sure everything is taken care of. So I am doing some work and I need to go through this house and clean it. I'm actually doing laundry right now. Everything needs to be washed. My daughter from Minnesota, her and her husband, he has a very, very severe allergies. And he never has come here yet. And he hasn't come here yet because he came in here when we did the first initial tour of the house, when it was all crappy and everything, and it was really musty and moldy and stuff. He actually came in here, and when they left, he said he had a really bad asthma attack. But he's very, very highly allergic to stuff, and the cats are here. So when we took Tracy home, the cats actually went back there to her house. They're there, and they're going to stay down there till after Thanksgiving, the cats are. And so what I'm doing is I'm going through the house and just cleaning everything and scrubbing everything and getting any kind of cat hair gone, washing everything. And they're talking about coming up here and visiting the weekend before Thanksgiving. And then going down to Wisconsin with me on Thanksgiving and stuff, and we'll enjoy Thanksgiving down here. So I got a lot of cleaning to do. So trying to make it all okay for this guy. So I'm going to let you guys go. I got to get working on some stuff, and I'll catch you later. Bye.